Hey, good morning, everybody. It's Tuesday. It's Oct today, but today is a special day because I will be doing this quick one on the Mount Gox shock. Reminds me of the rock shocks on my mountain bike. So, everybody, this is an important one. I did a Mount Gox video actually last year, but now we have the on-chain data and a lot more to look at. Let's really find out if this will mess up the Bitcoin price action and break it all down. So thank you for coming. Thank you as well to Mr. Hammer and Solar Power and Sir Winston and the whole gang. Everybody else is here. So first of all, Mt. Gox is a situation originally, if I recall, over 10 years ago, Japanese firm run by, I think, the Tokyo district was hacked or whatever. I wasn't around back then looking at this stuff, but the hack did dilute, let me get this right. Yeah, 10 or 11 years ago, 2014. They pulled out a bunch of crypto from an exchange and they were able to recover some. We'll break down exactly how much was actually recovered, which is kind of startling and a little bit upsetting too. But now, all of a sudden, yesterday evening, the wallets began to move and that rattled the Bitcoin price, and Bitcoin price fell 2% and everybody's freaking out. So let's break it down. Thank you to everybody on Patreon and thank you to the team behind me as well. Just joined Patreon. Great stuff as always. Los Gates from Deutschland. Thank you. Now let's break this down. First of all, this is the wallet that Sina 21st Capital noticed maybe the concern for some Bitcoin sell pressure because Mt. Gox has begun distributing Bitcoin to creditors. And 3 billion moved, but remember, it was moved in phases. We'll show you all that. First of all, the first tranche moved, and then the second tranche, and then the third and fourth. It all happened in about 2 hours. This is the distribution from Glassnode, and you can see here their balance was 137,890, which does not correspond to my latest one of 141,000. But anyway, what's 4,000 Bitcoin between friends? But you can see how it moved so fast. Literally, this thing shot out 43,000 Bitcoin in minutes, and that's $3 billion worth to creditors. And in fairness, it must be a relief to all those people. Actually, shout out to all those people. If you were in Bitcoin over 10 years ago, well done. And the question is, what I'll try and address later is, what will they do now? Okay, they've waited over 10 years to get their money back or their Bitcoin back. What will they do? Will they spend it? Will they hold it? Will they pivot into meme coins? We're not sure. But this is the Outflow, another view of it as well. From Mt. Gox addresses, you can see how it moved in 4 big tranches and basically depleted the whole thing in a matter of 2 hours. Now, from Marty Party as well, now we have, remember the 141,560, which is different to the Glassnode number of 137,890. Well, this total bag now is in just 2 wallets. 141,560 Bitcoin was moved very fast. Billions of dollars, $9 billion worth. Sorry, $9.6 billion worth into these 2 wallets. And another view of that as well from Crypto Quant, all moved exactly 141,600 from one to the next in a very short window of time. Now, this is part of the concerning part about this. If you look at this Galaxy Research breakdown from Alex Thorne, he does, the good news, first of all, before we dig into this, Alex does expect most people who've been waiting a decade to get their Bitcoin back, they're not going to sell it. Now, some people may just say, enough of this crypto lark. I am done. I'm selling. I'm getting out. I'm investing in something else. Or I'm buying that house, or they'll hold it, or they'll sell a part for some lifestyle chips. We don't know how it's going to shake out, but breaking this down, the most disturbing thing that I saw, the actual amount of lost Bitcoin was 940,000 Bitcoin on the nose. The amount recovered is 141,868. And that includes some Bitcoin Cash, but we don't look at that. But the amount of Bitcoin recovered was only 15.09%. And then the misleading stat there, the percentage recovered is 14,079% because Bitcoin went up in price. At the time of bankruptcy, Bitcoin was worth $451 a Bitcoin. now it's worth an awful lot more. And that is kind of the craziness out there. Thank you, Marianne, for coming as well. So it's sad that they are only recovering 15%, but the price is much, much higher. What was that percentage again? 14,000 or something? Yeah, 14,000% higher. And higher again, because this stat here was done when Bitcoin price is 63,000. Now, as we speak, Bitcoin price is at 68,400. It did dip, but again, from the high, we had that big spike yesterday, shooting straight to 70,600. And then the news of the Mt. Gox release, it came down, but only 2%. And this is good because it shows you, the people out there now, they're not easily rattled. If this has happened a year or two ago before the ETFs, price would have fallen 10% easily. Now they know there's absorption. And this leads me to my next thought. And again, I am always a little bit paranoid, always trying to think what's happening behind the scenes. And whenever people run out of Bitcoin to buy, something happens. So we had that with the ETFs. They wanted to buy a lot of Bitcoin. They didn't have the ability until Grayscale dumped a whole bunch. Maybe, my little conspiracy theory, maybe part of that was orchestrated between one big player and another big player to move their bag over to the other. And that's exactly what the charts tell me. But this is a little chart here. And again, it's almost scripted. Every time a bag is needed, one appears. That one bag now is Mt. Gox. However, even though there's 141,000 Bitcoin available, of the people getting it, because they're OGs, they understand Bitcoin better than anybody else, you think they're going to sell it right now? They know where this thing is going. They could be cute and try to time the market, or maybe take some off the table like we mentioned as well. But congratulations to them for holding out so long, and I'm glad they're getting something back. Now let's look at the chart real quick. I did say this would be a quick one today. Bitcoin dips 2% to 68,000. It's now 68,500 as I speak. And you can see it so far has been a nothing burger. So sometimes I feel my job here is to calm people down because people are very, very nervous, really skittish, like literally pulling the plug, fear for this. Let's look at the big picture. And I analyze the ETFs every single day. The question is, can or could these new market players absorb this dumpage? Even if you assumed all of it was going to be dumped, which is not going to happen. Maybe a third, okay? 30% of 140K is what? 36, 38,000? Not a lot. But let's look at this chart here from Crypto Quant. The average exchange inflow is very low right now at around 25,000 Bitcoin per day, indicating not many are willing to sell compared to previous history. We are at a low point that we haven't seen since 2018. Now, if the Mt. Gox trustee begins selling that 141,000 Bitcoin, the market could absorb this volume within a week and nobody will notice. Mt. Gox is a bullish unlock, and it can finally be done without talking about the supply overhang. All right. Again, if this happened a year ago, price would have fallen 10%. It's happening now, knowing that there's so much absorption possible, 2%. Okay. That's a good thing. So everybody, it will be a bumpy week until we find out more about exactly what's happening with these unlocks. Yes, they moved. When are they going to creditors? We don't know. Will it be petered out over time? Probably. Will those people that get it sell it immediately? No. A small fraction will, but not a lot will. Now, there is also another impact on this as well, because we love on-chain here. In fact, the show later today is called Octa. It's called On-Chain Technical Analysis. But this is another chart from Crypto Quant as well. And this cycle has awoken more Bitcoin OGs than ever in history. The 10-plus-year-old Bitcoin spending reached a record 3.7% in March of this year when Bitcoin was at 70,000. Right now, it's at about 2.5%. And the percentage is the 30-day cumulative spending annualized of Bitcoin that is more than 10 years old. The on-chain data, because of the movement yesterday, is also going to be skewed. We had 141,000 Bitcoin moving that haven't moved in 10 years. That will skew this too. So bear that in mind as well when you look at Glassnode, CryptoQuant, etc. Now, there's some other things happening behind the scenes which ties into Bitcoin, and it's worth mentioning because it's also breaking news. This is from David Bailey. He is the CEO of Bitcoin Magazine, and he's also a cryptocurrency aide of the Trump campaign. I thought it was maybe Vivek whispering in his ear. It's maybe just David Bailey instead. And he revealed that Trump asked if Bitcoin could be leveraged to solve the US national debt problem. And the Bitcoin Magazine team is advising Trump on developing a policy that is friendly to Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies. The question is, could Bitcoin fix the national debt? You know, for years I've been saying Bitcoin fixes this, Bitcoin fixes this, Bitcoin fixes this. Imagine the US firing up their money printers, which they do. They print trillions every every 8 to 12 weeks. $1 trillion here, $1 trillion there. Technically, they could print up $1 trillion and buy a huge chunk of Bitcoin and just leave it on their federal balance sheet. That would kick off some crazy game theory. And I know that sounds absurd, but this question was asked. And by the way, I'm not the only person asking this question. Is the Bitcoin fix in? Could Argentina be next? And Argentina met with this Javier Milei, met with, of course, the president of El Salvador, Nayib Bukele, about the adoption of Bitcoin and crypto, because they both know central banks have issues. In fact, Javier went to his own central bank with a chainsaw and ripped it apart. So amazing. We are at the very, very early stages or innings of Bitcoin game theory. Either way, seatbelts on and relax. It's going to be a fun ride. We don't know where it's going to go, how fast it's going to go, but literally the stuff that's happened in the last week, 10 days is bonkers. And don't fret too much about Mt. Gox. Yes, I will try calculate the actual impact in tomorrow's video and estimate different scenarios about how many could be sold and what the absorption rate would be. But any dip in price is bought up right now, and that is pretty clear. Thank you all for coming. Thank you to the mods in the chat. Thank you, Bitcoin Solar and Jeff Hammer and K8 and everybody else for being here. See you all later today in about 1, 2, 3, 4, at least 4 hours. Well, I prepare the next stuff with the team. All right. Have a good day, everybody. Bye-bye.